Hey guys.
Okay, we are live now.
All right.
Hey, Kannan. Krishna.
Hey Krishna, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Hey, I'm just standby for my daughter. She joined. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For a few
Anshika,
minutes.
right?
Yeah. For a few minutes, I'll stay. Then after sign, I just want to make sure that she's comfortable. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anshika, have you done any Python coding?
Yeah, I actually did Code Academy stuff until now where I'm doing your class, but I continue to do Code Academy stuff. I'm pretty familiar with it, but I'd still like to take classes on it.
Okay. Let's give a few minutes, guys. All right, I think we can get started. So good evening, everyone. So what we're going to do today is a few things. We want to review the content that we did last week and quickly review the content, and then we'll move forward with a few more data types like strings, dictionaries, lists, etc. And then I also want to bring up this one. So anyone, if you guys know this site, go to hackerrank.com, and then you should register or use your Google ID to do that, or Facebook, I think. So there is a 30 days of code, and then there's a problem solving as well. I think this problem solving is yeah. So these are different problem solving things that you can do. You can solve a challenge, like for example, if you click on simple array, gives you give an array of integers, find the number of its elements, right? For example, if the array AR equals 1, 2, 3, you need to iterate through the array members and then get the answer, like 6 here. And here you can submit the code here, so you can use any language of your choice. If you're C, C++, Java, anything is there, or use Python.
Hey, Kannan, are you sharing your screen?
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry. My fault. Sorry about that. Let me go back again. So this is the site I was talking about, HackerRank. Let me go back again. So for example, they use the site for testing. So here I'm logged in using my Gmail account. Okay, I think it gives different ways to log in.
Your voice is breaking, Kannan.
My voice is breaking.
Yeah, now much better. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So
Yeah, it's again.
hello.
Yeah, your
Can you
voice.
hear me okay?
Your voice is not clear, Kannan.
Let me do this, guys. Let me see if I can join from different audio. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so now my machine is frozen. I don't know what's happening here. I'm going to rejoin. I'm going to rejoin. You guys can still hear me, right? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. You guys can still hear me, right?
Kannan, we can
Yes,
still
we can.
see
We
the
can hear you.
frozen screen.
Okay.
Did you restart?
You guys can still hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Kannan, we can
Yes,
still
we can.
see the
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I want to talk about this HackerRank. So in here, it's called hackerrank.com, and you can go to, there are a couple of areas that, you can also do this certification for different languages, but there is also 30 days of code. Each day you can write one code. So starting today, maybe you should try that. You click on this, the first one, it says data types. The first one is solve challenge. In here, it gives you a problem. So it says, so this is the code, right? Check out the tutorial tab for learning materials and an instructional video. So So you have to do, this is a coding challenge. It says declare, in here you have different language choices. So I selected Python 3, and then you can do, so this, they've given you the requirements, right? Declare second integer, double, and string variables, read and save an integer. So these are the things that that they expect you to do, right? And then once you're done, you can submit the code. And you can look at the submissions here, like your submissions. There is also leaderboard that tells you who is leading, and then there are discussion boards here. You can look at the answers for for that same problem provided by different people. You can do all those different things. So this helps you to practice the language even more by solving the problems. Okay. Is that clear? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So there's nothing here on the chat. That said, let's move on. So in the HackerRank, there is also another section. For some reason, this is very, very slow. Go here. In the 30 days of code, there are different, each day has got different problems, right? So let's see. If I go here, practice. So on the problem solving, you can go here, and then in the problem solving, they give you different problems. Like the first one is a simple array sum. So if you click on this one, it tells you this is an array that contains 1, 2, 3 as
Excuse me.
elements. Yeah.
So I created my HackerRank account, and it's giving me this my first challenge thing. I'm not sure how to exit it, and when I'm trying to run the code, what I'm supposed to do, it keeps on giving me a compile time error. So what should I do?
Same here.
Yeah. Can one of you guys share the machine so I can take a look at it?
All right, here, let me go ahead and do that by myself.
Well, again, Anshika, the idea here is not to solve the HackerRank problem today. So this is just an information for you guys.
But I
Okay.
can't seem to exit it from the first challenge over here. See, whenever I run it, there's always going to be a compile time error.
Okay.
It's really weird what's going on.
You can just close the browser.
Yeah. Close the browser session and open HackerRank again.
Just Control
Right.
W or Command W. In fact, would you recommend, Kannan, that people pay attention right now instead of doing the steps, or should we do this?
Yeah. No. Yeah. So like I said, Anshika, the goal is to introduce.
I'm trying to
the
get out
HackerRank.
of it. It's actually, I'm trying to get out of it, but it keeps on sending me to the first challenge thing only. I don't know. I'll just watch what you're doing for now.
So you may want to see on the top, on the top right hand side, you should have your name there. Like let me share my desktop real quickly.
I don't see it. There's nothing there. I showed you my
Okay.
screen. There's nothing there. So there's nothing I can do right now. I'm just gonna
Okay.
wait till this call is over, and if I can't seem to have anything work, then I'll simply just
maybe clear the history, and then
yeah,
and
I'll
then
go ahead
try
and
it
look
again.
for something else. But right now it's not doing anything for me, so I'm gonna just clear that out.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you. So
Problem.
let me share again. Okay, so we talked about, you guys remember all these things, right? So we talked about different modules in Python, right? So we used like a foo.py, and then we can load the modules, in Python by importing, and you can run the code from the command prompt as well, right? So let me go back to my Tony. So in here, I have a s2.py, and then I was importing math, cmath, and then import foo. And within foo, I had different things like print 25 times 3, print some text here, and I have some assignments here, like my name equals Kannan, and then x equals 1000. And so when you run the code, it the s2.py, when you run it, it runs the code, it runs everything that is there in the foo, which is 25 times 3, which is 75. Then this Python lecture 2 is a string that got printed here, and I can type the value of x, right? So in here, because the x has been overwritten, the x in foo.py is 1000, whereas here the x is a different value here. So so you understood all those different things, concepts, right? So we talked about complex numbers as well. So the complex numbers are when you're assigning a complex number, like complex 1, 2, it means 1 plus 2j, where j stands for square root of -1, okay? And when you can extract the real part of the complex numbers and the imaginary part of complex numbers. So in here, if it's 1 plus 2j, the real part of 1 plus 2j is 1, and the imaginary part is 2, right? That's the imaginary part. And then when you do a conjugate of the complex number, it flips the negative sign, right? So it basically says it, instead of 1 plus 2j, it's 1 minus 2j, right? What else did we discuss? We talked about multiplication of complex numbers as well. I don't seem to have that here, but we talked about how the complex number multiplication happens. We went through that FOIL method, if you remember, and we worked on that as well. Any questions so far?
No, thank you.
Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. There is also another command call. Let's say you're importing a module called foo, and the value is 75 here, and now you're editing the module and make it as 25 times 4, right? So like if I go here and specify 25 times 4, okay, now it's 100, right? Whereas in here, it's going to still say 25, right? So if you want to run it again, you can do reload foo, right? Something like that. But I'm not going to do it here. But that's keep in mind that some of these are not in Python 3 as well, right? So you can do a reload 3 from a shell, and then it'll reload the Python module to give you the updated answer. Okay. So we talked about the differences between importing a module versus importing some things. Just 1 second, guys. I have this web WhatsApp, and it keeps pinging me. Let me go ahead and just too much noise coming up. So we talked about, oh yeah, forget to say this, right? So in Tony, when you're like, we talked about directory. Why is this not looking? Let me see. Okay, some problem. So this is how you would figure out what the components of a module is, right? So do you guys remember this? So when you look at the directory for CMath, you have all these different functions available for you, and you can get help of a specific function, right? So it tells you when I do a help on cmath.square root, it tells you what this function means, right? It takes a value, return the square root of z, right? So that's what it means. So this is how you would understand what a particular module comprises of and the components within the module, right? So the variables that are there inside the module, and all these are functions, right? A cos h, a sine, all these are functions within the module. So you can either import the whole module, or you can import a specific component within the module, right? Or a specific variable within the module. And we walk through this process as well. So when you're saying from bar import asterisk, it means that you're importing everything from that Python module, right? But if you're importing just one variable, you specify that variable. In many cases, you don't want to load for memory concerns. You don't want to load the entire module, and this particularly applies to modules that you're using it in in data science, where some of these modules are big, so you want to import only certain components of that module, so that is required for you to write the program. So we do that. Okay. Python program structure, right? Programs are composed of modules. So we talked about modules. Each module ends with .py. So that's a module. So you can import the modules. At some point, we're going to be talking about inheritance from the modules, like how do you define object-oriented programming with different modules, and then how do you inherit the modules and override functions from the parent module, right? So when a child module is inheriting from the parent module, how would you take that and how would you, overwrite it and inherit it from the parent module? So we're going to go through those sections within Python. But keep in mind today that modules are comprising of .py files. It contains statements, it contains expressions, it contains functions. Everything is composed within the module. So now so that's a summary of what we discussed till last week. So today, let's discuss, the built-in object types, right? So let's talk about numbers, floating points, strings, lists, dictionaries, tuples, and files, right? So one of the things that the numbers and variables, right? So these are, standard ones that you are probably used to it, right? So example, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Can anyone tell me what this asterisk means, like 2 stars?
Raised to the power of?
Raised to the power of, exactly. So, and then when you have, operator precedence, right? So when you have a number like this, so you need to understand how the operator precedence works. Like, so for example, if I say, let's say, if I do 10 times 2 times 5, what would be the answer for this? Do you see my shell? How does Python evaluate this? Can anyone tell me?
Left to right.
25.
Yeah, can you tell
25
me how it works?
It goes left to right in the order of, as you were saying, PEMDAS. So there are no
Exactly,
parentheses. Yeah. So multiplication and division.
So it goes with this, right? So it's PEMDAS, right? So parentheses first, exponents like powers and square roots, that happens next. Then multiplication and division left to right. So even though I had division here and multiplication later, as I go from left to right, it takes the first one, which is the division. So it divides 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25, right? So that should be the answer for you.
So, and this is basic mathematics, right? So I'm just giving you an update on that. And that's how the expressions will be evaluated within Python. Then there are other modules like, we talked about, we use math module. You can also use random module. Like, for example, you can do, I think I need to import random first. Okay.
And then what does C stand for in CMath?
I'm sorry?
What does C stand for in CMath function or director?
CMath has got
Complex math.
complex.
Complex? Okay. Okay.
It has other functions that, there are, like the square root in CMath can evaluate -1. Okay. So I guess random is not a module there. So I need to find out in Python 3 what is the equivalent of random module. So we'll come back to that later. So now let's go to strings, right? So in Python, you can use, it's pretty what do you call, like flexible in terms of string manipulation in Python, right? So you can either use a single quote or you can use double quotes in Python. Okay. And you can also use triple quotes, like, for example, this is a backslash. So if you use a backslash, when you print the value of s, so in here, I use \t, which is gives you a tab delimited, right? And so why don't you guys try this and see, a /n means new line, and /t is tab. So I want you to try this, type s equals some string and then insert tabs and insert the /n. So I want you to practice this. In this case, what happens is between name and age, there is a tab. Okay, so that's what you see here. And then after age, there is a /n, which gives you a new line. And then the next line has got John /t, which is a tab, and then you have 21. And then the third line is, again a /n, which is a new line character. And then I have Bob /t, which is tab 44. So that's what it means. Okay, and then in this case, so what does this slash in Mary does it, right? It's basically inserting an escape sequence here. Okay, so you want to put an apostrophe next to Mary. So in order to do that, you would use a slash apostrophe for that. So I want you to practice this and tell me how you getting this. In this shell, I don't see it, but you can try running this from. Actually, what you can do is you can do this one. Okay, copy this one. So when you run the code, you will see these values here.
If we run it just on the shell, it's not.
No, yeah, don't do it on the shell. Write it in the code and then execute it.
Okay, thank you. Is there any? Are there any import files that we should be importing just for basic text handling?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, basic text is, yeah. Anshika, do you find this useful?
Yeah, it works when we print it or when we include it inside a file and then execute. But if we do it on the command line, then
Yeah.
it gives different output.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's you see when you do S, it does that, right? So here, if I say yes, it does that, right? If I say print S,
No,
it
no,
It-
for
you
the
have to do a print.
case, for Mary's, that escape character for apostrophe S, it doesn't take. It prints as it is.
Is it all right if you can wait a second for me to fully copy down everything? Because you're going a little fast for me.
You know, I didn't do the whole thing. The print S works when you put
Oh, hang on
parentheses
one
around
second.
the S.
Yeah, AZ, hang on one second. Anshika was saying something.
She's asking us to slow down because she's trying to copy exactly everything. So I was saying, Anshita, you don't have to copy everything exactly. Just do a few of them.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't see that. Hear that clearly. Anshika, are you okay?
I'm all right. Yeah, let me just finish wrapping up what I'm doing here, and then I'll keep that in mind next.
So putting the parentheses around the S is what worked. I was having a problem also.
Oh, okay. You see this one, right?
Yes, marries with the apostrophe works.
It works, right?
Yes, sir. You're a good teacher.
So let me know. We can go to the next slide. Anshika, are you okay?
I don't want to hold back the class, so I'll be able to copy down a little faster next time. I'm a little bit more alert now.
Okay. Well, you don't have to exactly copy what is there. You can try with
Could you
whatever.
go back to the ask slide, please? Just for 1 second. So it's a single apostrophe with followed by a double apostrophe, then a Mary backslash single apostrophe S double apostrophe, and then a single apostrophe.
Exactly.
Anshita, I just put my code in the meeting chat. If you just pick that up, you'll see. You can just copy from there.
That was me, Vaishali.
I see, Vishal. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thanks
you
for
can just copy the, yeah.
Okay, thank you. We can move on, thanks.
Okay. All right. So then the next one is the triple quotes. So you can do a triple quote over a several line, right? So in this case, S equals triple quotes. This is a string over 3 lines, right? So something like this. I would say M equals so do you see that?
So just typing M, printed M. Okay.
Yeah. So when I type M, it says this is a string /n, which is new line, over 3/n, which is another new lines, right? So that's the value of M. This is how it's represented within Python, within the code in memory. And when I print M, it resolves the /n to a new line, and then it prints the string in 3 lines.
So is it going to be 3 quotes for any number of lines, or you have 3 quotes because you are typing 3 lines? If I need 4 lines, then I have to type 4 quotes?
No. Triple quote is for a string over several lines.
Okay, multiple lines basically. 3 quotes.
Yeah. Can we move on to next slide?
Yes, sir. I think you should accept silence to mean agreement. And that thing worked, multiple lines. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So, so these are some of the things that you need to understand in terms of string operations. Like concatenation is you would use a plus sign. The length is you use a method called len, or a function called len that gives you the length. And then you have repetition, you would use a star. And then indexing and slicing is you would use, so for example, so let's do this, right? S equals computational, T equals linguistics. So let's do C1 equals, so let's do this one, okay? So instead of S, I will say K equals computational. So you can see that it adds a space between computational and linguistics, and it added that, right? So if you do C2 equals C1 times 4, okay? And if you print C2, it'll repeat that string 4 times. You can see that computational linguistics is multiplied or, repeated by 4 times. So that's what the repetition means, okay? So you have C1 equals, or C2 equals C1 times 4. So the other thing that, the length. So if you do here, if I do len of C1, it gives me 25, right? So this is the total length of C1 plus C2, sorry, K plus L, right? And what is the length of C2? It should be 100 because it's 25 times 4, 100. Make sense? So that's what that means. And you can also extract a specific character, right? So C equals S of 3, it gives you, so let's see what it says. So if I do, give me K of 3, right? So it gives me P, right? So can anyone tell me why when I give the index of 3, it gives me the 4th character?
Because it starts with 0. It's like array starts with.
Well, the index starts with 0. So C is 0, O is 1, M is 2, P is 3, and so on and so forth. So that's how it goes. Okay. And you can do like for 11 through 16 here, okay? So what happens here? So if I do a C1 11 through 16, so it gives me AL space LI, so which is, so if you start with here, 0, 1, 2, MS2, P is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11th character is A, 12th character is L, 13th is space, 14 is L, 15 is I, okay? And it doesn't include the 16th character, so it excludes the last one, okay? It starts from 11 and it goes up to 16, okay, or 15. Now, if I do C1, 11 colon and leave it this way, do you know what happens? Can someone guess?
It
Probably
was
begin from the 11th and go.
It takes everything and displays it from the 11th. Okay. So if I do this, what will happen?
Everything up to 10.
Exactly. So it doesn't include the 11th character. So A is 11th character, right? It
But why
excludes.
is it so? Why does it include the last one?
That's how Python works. It's just it's a boundary, so it doesn't do that. The reason could be that your last character could be it could result in null or empty string. So that it always subtracts one before that.
Okay.
And there is another technique to get everything, and I'll teach you that maybe tomorrow. We'll go through that. So what does this one mean, right? If I do C1 colon -1, do you know what this means?
Go one string character before everything.
Yeah, it will subtract the last one. Okay. So C1 is computational linguistics, right? Plural. So when I do -1, it gives me everything. So this will be helpful if your string is big and you don't know the length, and you can do length, and you can do all those different things. But then this is much more easier, right? So I can just do -1, and then it gives me everything, and then excludes the last digit, or sorry, the last character. So that's what I meant.
I have
Okay.
a very fundamental question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a coder, so I'm trying to do as you're saying. So when you write len in bracket C1 and then run, you're clicking on the run button every time you want to run it, right?
No, so there are different. Is this Charlie talking?
Yes.
Okay. So Charlie, when you run the code here, you click the run button, right? But once I run this, I have a shell here. So in the shell, I can pretty much access any of the variables here in the code.
Okay, so I got it. So when you write len and bracket C1 and you just click enter and you get the answer 25?
Yeah, so here. So
in the shell. Okay, thank you so much. We can move on.
So that's what it does, right? You can see if you're writing in code, you have to do a print. Otherwise, it doesn't display the values. Whereas in the shell, it's like debugging for you. You can play with it and get the answers right there.
Thank you so much.
That's
Thank you.
It's one of the benefits of Python. It gives you so much flexibility. I mean, I can add, I can say z equals len of C1 plus len of C2. Okay. And if I type Z here, it gives me 125. See, I have not even declared Z in this. Well, there is a Z here, but then, I introduced another variable here called Z, right?
Thank you so much. It's
So,
very clear now.
okay.
That was a very good explanation, and without taking any time. Hi, this is Syed. I was referred to this group by Izzy, by the way. So I have a quick question. Right in this follow up to what Charlie just said, right? I've been following up on your videos, and today I just joined live. I don't know if I'm in the shell yet. I do have Tony downloaded. So when I type like len, or like for example, if I print something, it says trace back most recent call last. So is it quickly something that I need to do to get into shell, or it's a longer process which I can like look at the video later?
So in order to go to shell, see, once you run the code, when you run the code, the shell automatically opens up for you.
Yes, I already have the shell open, but I don't have anything in like the code, like what you are referring to up there, the script. Do I need to like? Do I need to?
Yeah. So you need to. Okay, why don't you share your desktop real quickly? I can walk you through.
Yeah, sure. So let me share that really quick.
I believe you have to run it first to get something in the shell to begin with.
Yeah, or you can also declare variables in the shell and run it.
Yeah.
Sayed, we've been told to do the code. Don't just run it in the shell. Write it in your code.
Yeah, I would say
run
it. Yeah.
Run. Yeah. Let me do that.
Tony will make you save the file. You're not sharing anything.
Opening system preferences to allow it. The screen. 1 second. I think it's done. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't have the value there. So in the shell, hang on a second.
Over here,
go to your shell.
Those values.
Listen to me. On the shell, go to your shell and type C1 equals or C equals, put your name. C equals within quotes, single quotes or double quotes, put your name. Okay. Yeah, now enter. Type C and enter.
Okay.
So now do len of C. C. No.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. I'm
Makes sense?
Thank you so much.
Because you don't have any values declared, right?
Okay. So when you're referring to, so based on that example that we are doing right now, the screen that you shared, the strings number, the PowerPoint, you already have declared stuff up there, and underneath you're just calling within those using this, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
just copy and paste all that code up above in the Mary's Lamb code py. It's empty right now. Paste it in there, save it, and then run that.
Okay.
Appreciate the patient, Kannan.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Charlie, thanks for asking the question. My question was, I think, a follow-up to yours. So this was helpful.
No, I would have quit Python by now if Kannan didn't answer the question. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. So we talked about strings, so there are other methods of.
Your screen
strings,
is not
right?
shared, Kannan.
Oh, my screen. Sorry. Okay, so the next one is string methods, right? Methods or functions applied to and associated with objects. String methods allow strings to be processed in a more sophisticated way, right? So for example, let's go back to the example, right? So we have, let's run this code again. So we have C1 equals computational linguistics, right? So if I do C1 dot capitalize, right? So what capitalize means is it does this, takes the first character and then it capitalizes that. That's what the capitalize means. So if I do C1 dot lower, it converts everything to a lower characters instead of capitalization. Okay. I know the older version of Python had this. Yeah, it still has. So when you do C1.upper, it converts everything into capital letters. Okay. 1 second, guys. I need to mute myself.
Hey, AZ, can I ask a quick question while Kannan is on mute?
Jaldi, hurry. Yeah.
Okay, I need to know, like, how did you define C, right? So can you like put that in the chat or something? I think you would.
Yeah, I did. I responded in the chat. Just we typed it up ourselves. We saw Kanan's example and we typed it.
Okay. All right, guys, I'm back. So does that make sense, guys? The upper, lower, capitalized?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Okay. So then the next one is you can check whether is alpha means, is this alphanumeric? Okay, so alphanumeric means you have both alphabets and numbers. So that's what alphanumeric means. So now let's try this, all these different variables, like different functions, like replace. So in my example, let's say, so I would say C1.replace, okay. Let's see what we can replace here. I would say, com with Z. Okay. So what happens is it will take the first 4 characters and it will replace it with Z. Okay. So now you can see that the first 3 characters, the 4 characters are gone, and in place it replaced it with Z. So that's what replace means. So these are string manipulations.
Kannan, very quick question. If I may interrupt, I did the upper in the file up in the file name, and it's giving me an error. So is there something I have to include? It's saying built-in method upper of string object at something. Does that mean I'm not including some?
No, not necessarily. Did you use the same syntax here? C1.upper within open close parentheses.
Oh, I didn't use open close parentheses. Thank you very much. Awesome. Got it.
It's a function.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, it's working now. I'll share my code here.
Okay.
So these are logics which are using the string, and you can use these options to manipulate the string that you already have, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. That's the reason why these methods are there.
Everybody, I've just put my code up there, so if anybody wants an example, they can see. Thanks.
Yeah. So here,
just a quick question. When we replace any letter or any part of the string, so new string will be like the old string will be replaced, or it will create the new string? Like when you call it again, C1.
That's a really good question, Anita. So I want you to point, if you go back to the book that we were referring to, there is a concept called garbage collection. So let's see where this, I saw this somewhere in this book. So when you're assigning, let's see, my machine decided to be very slow right now. So hold on 1 second. Literals. Second. So this is a place where they talk about this, and I want you guys to understand this. Let's see, garbage collection. Yeah, something is happening on my machine. See, it's not really slow. Can you guys open up that Learning Python and look for garbage collection? Tell me which page number. Oh, yeah. Okay. Still working on it. There is a section. So what happens is when you're assigning a value and then you're replacing the value, that object becomes an orphan object, right? So let's say my machine is very slow. I don't know. I'm not able to search. It's still searching. So when you're assigning a value, so to Anita's question, so what happens, right? When you, let's say, you know, C1. Let me go back to my Tony. So so initially C1 was computational linguistics. Now I've replaced C1 and changed the value of C1 to, you know, zootational linguistics, right? So what happens to the previous object? That becomes an orphan. So when an orphan like that happens, Python behind the scenes will go and do a garbage collection. It'll remove it and then release it, release that memory for a different purposes, right? So it's a process that happens behind the scenes. So that's what it means. So hopefully that answers your question, Rita. Okay. So so I think this is a logical endpoint. I just want to quickly go through some of the other things that I want to do, and maybe we can pick it up tomorrow. So I want you to go through list in Python, right? So what does a list mean? So in this case, we still have 2 more minutes, but I'll go a little bit over. And then I will tell you which chapters you guys have to be prepared for tomorrow so we can review that. So in this case, in my code, I see I have set L equals 7, 8, 9, and 3, right? So this is what we call a list in Python. So this is another data structure in lists and arrays, dictionaries. These are all standard data types, or we call derived data types, because list is a derived data type. It comprises of basic data types like integers or characters or strings. So these are derived data types. So L equals 7, 8, 9, and 3. And when I do L dot sort, it will sort the values inside the list. So when I run this code, you can see that the value is sorted 3, 7, 8, 9 as a value. And then I'm appending a value, comma, 1, comma, 2 within a list within a list, right? So I'm embedding another list inside the parent list, which is L, right? So when I do that, it adds the 1, comma, 2 over here. And then I'm also doing an extend, right? In the extend, I'm adding ST and U, and you can see that those are added here. So now I have a question for you guys. What is the difference between an append and an extend?
Seems that append means whatever's following, insert that, and extend means continue the list with these values.
You're somewhat there, but let me explain it, right? Append can only take one parameter, okay? So you cannot have, I cannot add 3, comma 4 here. Append, it'll throw an error. When I run this, it'll throw an error, okay? So it says append takes exactly 1 argument. I have given 3 arguments, so it doesn't like that. So I can only append 1 value. So that 1 value is within the square bracket. So that's considered 1 value. Now, I also have the square brackets, and inside that I have different values here separated by comma. So what does extend do is, extend will iterate through that list, and then it will add individually, right? So that's the difference between an append and an extend, okay? So if I do, instead of extend here, if I say append, now what happens is you don't see the S, T, and U as separate elements inside the list. It will be added as one element. So now we can see that the S, T, and U are appended as one list. You see the difference between the two? So that's how extend and append works.
Yes, yes, yes. Excellent explanation. Thank you.
Okay. So anyway, so we're past the 6 o'clock time here. So let's pick up the dictionaries, file operations, all those things. I have some conditional if statements in Python. So I have some samples that we can go through that tomorrow. What I would like you guys to do is, go through all these chapters, like, chapters 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and we can review this tomorrow. And then next week, we'll go through, next Saturday and Sunday, we'll try and wrap this book, and then we'll move on to the intermediate book. Okay.
Kannan, are you sure people are going to be able to follow? I mean, to be honest, I hadn't done the homework, so I need to go through the homework today. That was done previously.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes, right? I mean, let's try, and wrap up to chapter 9 tomorrow if we can. Otherwise, we'll pick it up. I'm not trying to rush this. The idea is for you guys to take it slow and steady, and you learn it. If you can do the hacker rank, great. If not, maybe wait for a few more weeks and start the hacker rank yourself. I think it'll be very helpful. So there is hacker rank, and then there is another one called lead code. I think I gave you these links in the first class last week, so you guys can take a look at that. Lead code has also got a lot of problems that you can solve. Anyone who's interested in applying for FANG companies like Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Nvidia, and Google, and nowadays most other companies are also following this approach where they will give you problems from lead code, right? And in fact, lead code has got problems that are being asked by these other companies, and then people are solving these problems. So this will be really helpful for you to become much more confident in coding. So you can given any problem, you will be able to solve the problem, not just solve the problem, but solve the problem optimally. All right, with that, I would like to give a minute or two for you guys if you have any questions. Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
I have one question, Kannan.
Yeah.
For the last line that we added, that L.extend. So we added S, T, and U along with single quotes. So what is the meaning of that single quote? I thought it was for the string variable, but it becomes part
single
of
quote
the
is
element itself.
Is a character. It's a character or a string.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
when I print quote S quote,
so you want to add something here like for like this. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
So when you do this, because 4 is an integer, you don't need to put a quote around that.
Okay.
Whereas STU strings, so you need to add the quote.
Yeah, but when we print, it prints the quote also. So that is.
I'm not following what you're saying.
When you say print L. When we see it prints not just S, it prints quote S quote. Right?
So this is what it's printing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's printing because L has been extended, right? I've appended 1, 2 in L. I'm extending L with all these other values as well. So now L becomes this value.
May I interject?
Yeah.
So I believe he's saying that the answer, like whatever is in the shell, the numbers don't have the quotes, but the letters carry the quotes to the shell too.
Or in other words, what are the types? What are the types of each of these elements? Like 3, 7, 8, 9 are the integers, right?
Or integers.
And
Yes.
U are strings.
SCU are strings. Yeah.
And 3, 7, 8, 9 are integers. And what is
Exactly.
1 and 2?
That's another list.
That's another list. Okay. Okay. Got
Within a list within a list.
Got it.
Kannan, could you extend your screen, the edit window, so we can see the full extent of the code? Just make it full screen, maybe.
Like this?
Yes. Is there anything below conditions? Maybe if you could make it.
No. Yeah, no, nothing.
Okay.
I haven't. Yeah, I'll share all these guys. I'll copy and paste it.
But we haven't gone through that in this class, though, right? Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm still trying to run that the K equals computations 1 and L equals linguistic. But in order for me to save that under Mary's lampcode.py, so I can run it in the shell, I need to have it like typed out. So was that like the first tab you guys were working that on, or?
That's in the foo.py file.
Yeah.
Right now he's looking at Python numbers.
Would it be okay if I
Yeah,
could
this
just
is
type it? Okay. Okay, perfect. Let me see. Thank you so much.
So Kannan, the plan is to go till chapter 9 tomorrow, or you want to finish the whole PDF tomorrow?
I want to try and do till chapter 9 tomorrow. So we have already done. So if you guys want to practice, just go through 4 through 7 today. Okay.
Okay.
So there's, there are components of strings that I haven't, talked about it. You can go through these chapters. Just give a quick read. It's pretty interesting. And there are some samples that you can play with it. Some of these things that I did, right? So you can look through that. How do you slice the strings? I talked a little bit about slicing, but there's also double colons here. So just see how it works. There are some samples here, and just go through that. And then we did a little bit of list. So go through what that list means. See, we talked about append, extend. There are other things like insert, index, count of the list, sorting, reversing, copying the list, clearing the list, copying something from the list. So all these are different methods that you can practice. So take a look at all those things, and that gives you some idea of how the whole thing works. And yeah.
No, go ahead, please. Sorry.
Yeah. So up to 8, I mean. So I did a little bit of list, right? So just go through that and play with these examples that they have there, and you will get a better idea of what is being discussed. And then we'll get to this tuples and files and everything else, right? So we'll go through this, and then we'll just do another session like next Sunday. We'll go through a full revision of everything, right? Just a quick rundown of the types and operations in Python before we move on to some advanced topics like functions and modules and packages.
Very exciting. Thank you so much for your patience.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, guys. Have
Yeah,
a good evening.
I'm really enjoying it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. And also, guys, in that Google Doc, I'm trying to compile all the information together. So if I was looking for the doc link, the book link. So if people have that info, please come to the Google Doc and just paste that info so that we can get the information together.